Welcome back. This is where we ended in the last video. And today I'm going to show you how to finish these paintings so that they can work both as individual paintings and also be a cohesive unit for the end project that I'm doing, which is a book and a journal. Please join me. In the last video, I made a number of large abstract paintings. They were on 18 by 24 inch paper, and what I've done is I've taken one of them that I really liked and I've already cut it into 3 strips. And so these strips are actually going to become the pages of my book. And I've already started adding the red to them just to speed up this video a little bit. And so I'll fold them in half, and then each of these will eventually become a book. And so how these need to work is the composition for each page needs to be good, as well as the composition for the spread, although I may decide to put something in the middle. I'm not quite sure yet. But still, I would want to make sure that the spread is done. So there's red in 2 spots right now. I think I need red over in this part here, maybe. I'm going to determine that. But I think at least it needs to be cohesive as a unit on this page. And then also cohesive as a unit individually and with the other pages. So there's various things that we need to look at with the whole page, with the smaller page, adding some red, because in the smaller page, just that little bit in the bottom corner doesn't do it. And then of course, there's the other side that I have to consider. So this one doesn't have any red. I may put maybe put this on there, I'm not quite sure. So what I'm going to do is just speed this up a little bit and tell you my thought process, because as I go through this, I'll be deciding. And this was really, I liked this one because it was quite bold and there was so much fluidity on the page that I thought just the sharp lines of the red would be a wonderful contrast. And then inside, of course, that little framed painting, I really like that. So it might need some red over on this other side here, just because when it's on that singular page, it will need something. Just so I can have a little bit of red. And for the book that I'm creating, I am going to show you a step-by-step process of how I do it, but that will only be available to my newsletter subscribers as extra bonus for people who want to follow along and see all the details that I do. So if you are not a subscriber, please do subscribe and you will see these extra bonus videos that I will do to complete the project. And just looking at all these other pages, getting a feeling of, I like that right in the middle because of all the gray that was happening, and it just activates that space and the gray becomes a little bit of a background. So I'll look at all of these, I'll decide which order. For example, these 2 can go off against one another within the book. I do like this page, the big sweeping strokes. It does need more red. I may put a page in the middle, that's to be determined. So what I'm going to do is show you captures of my thought process and decision making so that you will be able to see pages that I create for the book at the end. And with this painting, I want to put some red in this bottom section. So I'm just deciding, I'll put it in this little part and see how it looks after that. Is it enough? I think it looks pretty good. If it works as the whole painting, I'd probably put something in the bottom left. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. Now, this one definitely needs red. Not quite sure where to put it. But instead, I've decided I'm going to put it along here. If I put a big block, it's going to be too much. So I've decided to just put some marks, ischemic writing marks, fun marks. It will balance out that dark black band at the end and still have enough punch to attract attention. And I'm just going to add a little bit more just to make sure the edges have a little bit more definition of a sharper line. And now for the other side, I want to add a little bit of red, but I don't want to add too much. So here I'm thinking I'm just going to make a really thin little line of red, which is in sharp contrast to that big black line. And I'm just using a parallel pen, a Pilot parallel pen, putting ink in, and then I'm just moving the ink with the brush. Now, I don't mind that at all, and I actually like how it's not perfectly to the edge. And this one, I do need some red somehow over on the side. But that square is so dominant, so let's do something with a little bit of contrast. And I think I'm still going to use this parallel pen with some red ink in it. And I'm just going to make some very light lines and see how it works. Just trying to decide where to put it. Do I follow those marks that are going up? I probably will. So I'm just going to do some ischemic writing, make some light strokes and see how I like it. It may be a little bit too light, but I'm just going to leave it for now, I think. I might have to go in and just add a little bit more thickness to it afterwards. So with this painting, it needs another area of red, and I'd want to put some red that doesn't look like it has the sharp edges. So I'm looking at it as a full painting on the page, if it's going to be in the book and it's going to be a spread, or if it's just going to be an individual page. Where do I need to put it? So we're just going to make a decision and put it here. And after this, I'll look at it and see if it needs to be larger. It will also depend upon how it will be used at the end, if it will be used as a spread, or if it will just be used as a single page, if I'm going to put more pages in between. Now, this one needs more red as well. Again, especially if just the page on the right is going to be on its own. So I'm just going to add a little red details in those lines, fill them in. The composition right now is very dynamic in those lines, the darker lines, and then the softer gray lines underneath. Always turning, always looking at it at different angles. What's the composition like? Does it feel like it needs a little more? Or have I gone too much? And then if I did go too much, how do I fix it? But so far I'm just adding to this. So I think I'll leave that for now. I like the juxtaposition of that strong box with those little lines. Now back to this one. And it needs a little bit of red there, because again, if I'm going to use it just as that portion and it's going to be just one page, it needs to be activated a little bit more. And even if it's that whole spread, if it's going to be the length of it, it still needs something. And I want to do something that's a little bit different shape. Now I started to do just a straight line, and I didn't really like the straight line because the other two shapes had straight, sharp edges. And so this one, I want to do a little bit more organic, have a little bit more texture on the edges, soften it. And I think that's working better now. The different shapes are good. The red allows the eye to move around the painting. I like it. And I finished the paintings that will become the pages of the books. And I've added some details in some. And now I'm just going to decide the order that I want them to go in when it creates the finished book. But also, I am going to add other pages within this book. And they're going to be pages that you can write on or you can draw on. Some pages will have lines on them. Other pages will have dots. And I'm even going to have some grids in them as well, just to add some variety. And this is the finished book. I'm really excited about it. It has the pages within and the artwork, and it's all combined. You can write in it, you can draw in it. And the great thing about this is there's no sewing. So if you want to know how to make it, I will be showing that in my next newsletter, so please subscribe and you'll see the video. And if you liked this process, please let me know, share it with your friends, and I will see you on the next video. Bye for now.